Good morning, everyone. Please stand and join. We're going to sing up, up, up. So up, up, up.
Welcome to Unity of New Westminster spiritual community, this place of acceptance and love and community and growth, a place where we all enjoy each other and support each other every week. My name is Rhona Segarra, and I am proud to be the minister of this most amazing community of love. I know, it feels kind of fun to say that, I gotta tell you. Oh dear. If you are here for the very first time, welcome. I hope you enjoy your experience with us today. If you would like to add your name to our email list so that you can remain connected, we would love for you to do that. Just put it in the basket as it comes around later. And for those who are returning members of our community, welcome all. It is lovely to see you all here every week. And I know at the time of summer, it always gets tricky, right? People are coming and going and going and coming, and it's so nice to be able to come back to this place that is always here for you. The Unity movement teaches spiritual principles for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus as our primary way shower and example, and we follow those teachings and those spiritual principles that Jesus taught. And we honor the spiritual principles and wisdom that are in faith traditions all over the world. Those principles are the place where different religious beliefs can actually come together, because principles are law. They are always unchanging. All people have the right to choose their own spiritual path. All are welcome here. All are celebrated here. Let's open our service this morning in a time of affirmative prayer. We're so grateful that we can come together in this community of love every week, where we can come to a place that is safe, that is sacred, a place where all are welcome. We come together to sing, to laugh, to cry, to learn, to grow, and to feel and affirm our awareness of oneness with each other and with all beings. We know that there is only one power, by whatever name, God, nature, Allah, Yahweh, Gaia, life, Mother Earth, and thousands more. And yet we know that they are all expressions of the one. And we know that we are all expressions of the one. And it is in this knowledge and in this power that we send a blessing of love and fellowship and peace to every being on this planet, regardless of race, of creed, of political ideology, of nationality, of ability, of age, of gender expression, of sexual expression. We see all of these differences as part of the human tapestry. That tapestry that makes us interesting and yet part of the whole. And it is in this knowledge, and it is in this intention that we give thanks, knowing that our power to love is spread and makes a difference to all. And for this we say it. Today's daily word is guidance. Divine love and wisdom guide my thoughts, word, and actions. How empowering it is to know that every attribute of God is seeking expression in my life as me, even in the most ordinary decisions and events. I am called to become aware of my divine nature and develop its qualities. I release any limiting thoughts and beliefs and attune my mind and heart to the constant flow of ideas from divine mind. my awareness of an infinite presence becomes deeper and stronger. Gradually, I learn to rely on the divine love and wisdom that are always available to guide my thoughts, my words, and my actions. As I fully realize the unfailing power of God, I go forward with renewed faith, vision, and purpose. And from Psalm 23, He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for His name's sake. Before we move into a time of meditation and song, I want to thank you all so much for what was a life-changing moment for me last week. Words cannot express how I felt seeing all of you here, seeing all of my community here in celebration of my ordination. It was an amazing experience, and I thank you all so very much. I won't go there because then Colleen will make me cry, and it'll be all my fault. So, thank you. That's all I was saying. And I have to share with you, just because I'm still on such an excited rush. Yesterday, I had the privilege of seeing Sir Paul McCartney in Vancouver. And there is so much wisdom in this man. Not just in terms of what he represents. You know, he represents an era called the Beatles, and he represents Paul McCartney and Wings, and even now, to this day, he is creating new music, which I find inspiring in so many ways. And last night at the concert, somebody held up a sign that said, "Today you met John 62 years ago." And he looked at the sign and he's like, "Really? I'm only 61. And it was really funny because, of course, the man is 77, has not lost any of his vitality, and that in itself is inspiring. Anyway, I'm thinking now that we need to pull together a series on the Beatles, because I think it would be really fun. And there is so much wisdom in the writings of somebody like Paul McCartney. He was an inspiration. And for me, a dream come true. He was sort of on that list of people I would want to see. And so I'm very spoiled by my brother who gave me that as a gift. So anyway, let's sing. And then we'll move into a time of meditation, and then Andrew will bring us out of that.
Oh
as you are breathing in and out, become aware of any tension that is in your body, and allow that tension to release. Release. Let go. Let the chair support you. Feel your body becoming heavier as that chair supports all of your weight. And your body needs to do no work at all. And then bring your attention from your head to your heart. Imagine yourself breathing into your heart, into that true wisdom center. When we do this breathing, we give ourselves permission to feel. And now in this space, hear these words as if you are speaking. I am now immersed in the comfort of love. I feel love saturating my mind and my body. I feel comforted because I know that the energy of love, the energy of God, is with me at all times and is available to me in all situations. From that knowing alone, my spirit is lifted. The spirit of love is flowing through me, and I feel security and tranquility washing over me. With each heartbeat, I become more aware of this peaceful presence that is within me always. And as I move into a time of silence, I rest. I rest in this peace. Picture, if you will. It's a bright, sunny day. Not a cloud in the sky. Leaves on the trees are all green. Warm, blue sky. Children are running around, playing cups and rubbers. And I'm sitting inside, cross-legged on my bed, with the giant illustrated children's Bible on my lap. So began my path to ministry. Last week, a few people asked me, how long did I know? How long has it been since I knew that I wanted to be a minister? And every time I get asked that question, I go right back to this picture in my head of sitting enthralled by these photos, these pictures, these stories, this richness of this Bible. And so I wanted to share some of that with you today, as well as some of what I've discovered and rediscovered as part of that journey. In fact, if I think about this whole path to ministry, it really is that three-stage process of discovery, and then a time of disillusionment, and then a time of rediscovery. The discovery phase did start when I was a little girl, pouring through these stories and these images. I loved them. There was this really scary picture of Jesus on the top of a mountain and the devil with a bright red cape, and thinking, wow, this is cool. Not even knowing what that word was, but I'm using today's language for then. Joanna was telling me that she asked my sister Jill last week how long she knew that I would be a minister. And Jill said that she thought that Jesus was our third playmate. So I guess she also felt like it's been a long time. So I grew up in the Anglican tradition. Used to go to church, used to go to Sunday school, was part of the choir, was part of a prayer group in our elementary school, which was optional, and I still went, can you believe it? And then continued that in my high school. We used to have a prayer group that met at lunch times. No one forced me to do those things. I just did it. Was part of a youth group at St. Thomas's Anglican Church in Cape Town, South Africa. And that was the foundation of my community. And it was through that I got to learn all kinds of the ritual of the Anglican, I was going to say poems, that's not right, their prayers and their traditions. And I loved it. And I remember at one point being probably 13 or 14 years old, and at night I was reading the book of Proverbs every night. Who does that? At 13. And I remember, though, about a month into that, realizing that my life, which was pretty smooth anyway, but it was like water smooth. Everything was just flowing along perfectly. And I had this intuition that made me wonder if perhaps my reading these wisdom words had anything to do with how my life was unfolding. And then, it pops into your head and you leave it. And so that was my discovery phase. And then along with that came a phase that I would consider that disillusionment phase. And that's that place where I started to think, well, hang on. I'm not perfect. I'll grant that. But I'm not so bad that somebody should have died on the cross for my sins. I'm not perfect, but this idea of being a miserable wretch didn't fit anymore. This idea of God being Santa Claus. He sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, he knows if you've been bad or good. Be good for goodness sake. That idea didn't fit for me anymore. I have two amazing human parents. And nothing that I could do would ever stop their love for me. So I started to question. And I started to wonder if maybe it wasn't quite my thing to love this Bible and this Jesus and this God. And so I left for a while. Anybody ever had that same feeling of disillusionment? The good news is we can change and evolve. And what happened was, I was sharing this with a friend. several years later, and she said, "Oh, you should try this church that I go to. It's called Unity." And that's when the rediscovery happened. That's when I realized that I could reconcile that love for Jesus, that love for a God that was a giving force, a principle, loving no matter what, active no matter what, responsive no matter what. I could reconcile that with this new understanding called unity. I figured my God had to be bigger than that, you know? So now, we're in this place, this ministry called Unity. And I share with you my view of what God is and what our relationship to God is. But the part that's perhaps the most exciting of all is that what I will share with you about my point of view, you can choose to accept or you can choose not to. Because your path is your path. And what resonates and feels right for you is what you are here to discover. And the other part that's exciting about that is that it will change. Because as we grow and we learn to accept a little new idea, and then that becomes part of our belief system and our knowledge system, then maybe there's another idea that was far, far out of our realm of understanding to begin with, that we now can start to actually consider. And so expect in this rediscovery phase that your point of view will continue to change. Don't be too stuck on it. Here's what I believe. Here's what I believe. My closest understanding for what God is, the closest I can come up with that people will understand, is the idea of the Force in Star Wars. And I mean that most sincerely, because what that talks about is an energy field created by all living things, surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds the galaxy together. Surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds us together. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 45, Jesus talks about the sun, that God causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and the rain to fall on the righteous and the unrighteous. That's more of a God that I can get. This isn't a God that says, I will love you if. This is a God that says, this is going to happen regardless of who you are. Because everything is treated the same. Anybody ever had situations where siblings, where parents treat one with more favoritism than the other? Yeah. Who here with a sibling does not have that experience? And we know that that's a human thing. God is not human. So we attribute all of these human-like traits in our understanding and attempt to understand the nature of God. But here is the idea of everything being treated the same. God is everywhere. If you wanted to use quantum, you would say God is both wave and particle. That God is both form and formless. That God is both visible and invisible. Or, in the words of Rhona, there is no spot that God is not. That I can get. The other thing about God, and if you have a resistance to that God word, that's cool. Don't use it. Replace it with the word good, or with the word love, or with the word of your choice. Replace it with peanut butter. The word doesn't matter. The concept matters. And we humans have a need to put a word to a concept. And by doing that, we actually limit ourselves and our understanding. But, we have to go with what we got. And that's what we, at least at this point in our evolution, that's where we are. But here's the other thing that I believe about the force, God, by whatever name, the God of your faith, is that it is a God that is for expansiveness, for creation, for order. If you take a look at whether it's the miracle of taking one cell that meets another cell and then becomes 4 and then 8 and eventually becomes a human being, there's order, there's intelligence in that. You take a look at everything that's going on with the formation of a flower or a plant, whether it's something as small as a tiny living being or as massive as a galaxy. We see order. There is order and expansion all happening at once. And then we come to us. And if we say that it's true that there is no spot that God is not, then that must include us. And therefore, we must also be part, and perhaps even have access to that intelligence, have access to that wisdom, that call for expansion, that growth, that order. And so as time went on in my disillusionment and then rediscovery phase, I realized that nothing that has happened to me has been a waste. Nothing has been an accident. Nothing has been, I wish I'd known that sooner. Of course, there have been some things you do kind of wish you had that knowledge sooner, because some stuff hurts. And yet, it's those pain points that then become the places where we've grown the most. So here, Charles Fillmore said that your mission is to express all that you can imagine God to be. Have you ever been in that place where you've been enthralled at the discovery of something? A relationship, a new car. It doesn't matter what it is, something big, something small, a new job, a new anything, a new idea. You get so excited. And then at some point, some of the blips start to appear, don't they? That love interest, all of a sudden you find out that they have irritating habits. Unlike you. That new job that seemed so promising all of a sudden isn't quite so promising because that culture may not be quite what you want. That house, that car, it doesn't matter what it is. We all go through this cycle, don't we, of discovery, being excited, and then becoming a little disillusioned. And the point becomes, when that happens, are we willing to grow with it? Are we willing to look and do some work to discover what we can learn from it? If we believe that everything is in order, then every single mistake that we have made is there for our good. This idea of rediscovery can be quite freeing. Quite freeing. The idea of, oh, I messed that up, or, oh, this isn't quite what I wanted. I wonder if I can look at it differently, is very powerful. As a minister, what I've come to discover and come to believe for me in this rediscovery journey is that my love for the Bible, my love for Jesus, my love for all that is within that children's illustrated Bible doesn't have to be thrown out because of my disillusionment. I did not have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to use a most horrible expression. And yet we do that all the time, don't we? For me now, I've discovered, and I'm discovering again and again, that what I think I'm supposed to do with that stuff that I was about to toss out, and for a while did toss out, I think my role is to help reinterpret and rediscover the Bible. For, not just for me, but for others who also were disillusioned. So that I can pull out the wisdom that is so rich in those stories and help to expand the meanings into things that we didn't ever understand when we saw a picture of Jesus and a devil and a big red cape like a superhero. And thinking, oh my goodness, we've got a real devil, and if we allow ourselves to be tempted, we're going to go to hell. How about we change those stories into something that has more meaning for us today? That is what I am here to do. And that's how I came to be here. What are you here to do? What did you find that you loved, that you longed for as a child? That perhaps you still long for, but there's a part that maybe has become disillusioned. What if you take just one or two steps back towards that longing with different eyes? You may just find a whole new world out there for yourself. I know I did. And it has been an exciting, passionate, beautiful ride. God bless you.